Hey guys, we're in week 3 of our series called Bold, looking at the life of Nehemiah. Week 1, we see this moment where Nehemiah hears what's happening in Israel and how the city of Jerusalem is in ruins, the wall is down, and God captures his heart. And it kind of becomes this defining vision for his life. And then he begins this powerful prayer. We talked about bold prayer last week, and this week, we're going to see where the vision has happened, the prayer has happened, and then now he steps out in bold action. And at the end of chapter 1, as it wraps up, it says, I was cupbearer to the king. And so we kind of see this idea that God had sovereignly placed Nehemiah in the right place at the right time to accomplish the purpose that he had prepared for him. And I believe that's fundamentally true for all of us, that God has placed us in places of influence. He's placed us in relationships. He's placed us at a specific time, at a specific place, because he has, as we see in Ephesians 2:10, good works, which he has prepared in advance for us to do. So I do want to encourage you this week to be thinking about in what ways has God positioned me with resources, or with influence, or with relationships for the purposes that he's shaped me for. And then what happens is, as Nehemiah realizes that he's been placed in close proximity to the most powerful man on earth. And so he goes and asks him some incredible questions. So Nehemiah, and we have to see this through the lens of this incredible prayer that we looked at a week ago, these big prayers, believing in God to do big things. And so what happens is he goes to the king and he basically says, hey, there's a situation over in this country and my home country, Israel, and they're in a terrible situation and the walls are down and I feel like I'm supposed to do something about it. So basically, would you give me an indefinite amount of time off away from my job, which is a big request to ask if you have a regular job, much less if you are going to a dictator of an empire in the ancient world who had all the power to kill you at will. And so we see Nehemiah says, I was fearful, but then he prays and he goes and he asks for sort of this indefinite leave, which was a bold ask in and of itself. And then he essentially asks the emperor to pay for his pet project. So, hey, would you give me time off to do this thing I really care about that you obviously haven't cared about because you haven't done anything about it? Would you also provide me the resources to do this thing, my little pet project? And by the way, would you also provide me with protection while I go and do this thing? It was an incredible ask. So what we see is this picture of a bold, risk-taking action. And if you get nothing else, I want you to get this, that a faith that never requires us to take steps of risk really is no faith at all. John Wimber, who founded the Vineyard movement, he said, how do you spell faith? He said, you spell it R-I-S-K. When was the last time that following Jesus led you to take a significant risk? And so we see Nehemiah takes this risk-taking action. And that's really one of my favorite things about this Uncharted initiative, is that together we're on this journey, stepping out in faith, all of us taking the most significant next step of generosity that we've ever taken in our lives, and recognizing that for many of us, Claire and I for sure, that this represents a step of faith that is risky, that's going to be uncomfortable, that's going to create feelings of uncertainty, which is the essence of faith. There's this risk. So Nehemiah steps out in this bold risk. He steps out taking these bold actions. And then at the end of the passage, we see this incredible thing where there are these critics who are critiquing what Nehemiah is doing. And they don't want to be a part. And there's this incredible thing where Nehemiah is like, hey, you're missing out on this incredible God-given opportunity, and you're not gonna be a part of this special thing that God's doing. And so there is this sense in which God, who doesn't need us to accomplish his mission, he could accomplish his mission to bring people in Northern Nevada and around the world in the right relationship with himself, he could accomplish that mission a million different ways. But out of his kindness, he's invited us to join him. It's a privilege to get to play a part in what he's doing at this place in this time. And so I just want to encourage you in this season to be giving thought to how has God positioned me, to how the unique opportunities he's given me with resources, influence, and relationships. How am I stepping out in faith? How is my faith in Jesus leading me to step out and risk? And specifically in this area of generosity, as we're on this journey, what does it look like for you to take another step of faith in generosity? And that at the root of this would be this great privilege, this recognition of this great privilege that God has invited us, given us this opportunity to play a significant part in what he's doing in this place and this time. So why don't you take a moment, check out this story from a family at LifeChurch.
Hi, I'm Karen.
And I'm Cody, and this is our uncharted journey. I was born and raised in Reno, went to Damani Ranch High School, was able to kind of know about LifeChurch when I was in high school, but wasn't actively attending a church. I was part of a young life group in town.
Before the first day of college in Southern Illinois, we were both fall athletes, so we met during preseason. Started dating second semester and got married right out of college. We have 2 kids, they're 3 and 4 now, and we lived in Indianapolis for about 6 years before coming back to Nevada.
That quickly kind of led to us needing to find a church home during COVID and trying to find somewhere with a new baby. Found LifeChurch's sermons online and started watching pretty faithfully after that.
I don't think we went anywhere after that, and we were there when they opened the doors in January of 2021 and have been back every Sunday since then. So when Pastor Dave brought up Uncharted and the generosity campaign, we had been through a few of these in other churches before. This one really felt closer to home for us because there was initiative for a Sparks campus, a school, which we both have backgrounds in education. So just the school alone was amazing. And I cannot wait to see that come all the way to fruition. We live in Sparks, and so having a campus where we can invite our neighbors would just be awesome. Having another location where they can go and get that same feeling that we get going to LifeChurch is just something I pray that everyone can experience.
When we were really getting that call to kind of be a part of Uncharted, we looked at each other and decided not to say anything initially and to kind of pray on our own and kind of see what God was laying on our hearts, because he's always kind of used our better half, as we refer to it, to challenge and kind of check ourselves when we say, I kind of feel a nudge towards this number, but I was thinking of lowering it because that'd be a little bit easier. And we definitely had a conversation about that where I came to her and I'm like, hey, this is the number that's on my heart that I think we're supposed to do. How close is it to yours? And
I'm pretty sure I said, that's my number too, but I didn't want to say it out loud. Having student loans coming back and Uncharted starting, and we kind of just looked at each other like, wow, this is going to be difficult. That's kind of just been our story of God and finances, being newlyweds right out of college, and then you went to grad school, having a baby, 2 babies back to back.
It's always been something we felt like we had to try and control and keep really tight.
But that doesn't work. So it's always something we're constantly going back and just laying down at God's feet and just praying over, like, where do you want us to go? What's next?
So for all the new church members who are kind of feeling the call to join the Uncharted initiative, I just want to remind you that God can do immeasurably more with the tiny little bit that you have and that tiny little bit that he puts on your heart. So even if all you're doing is coming with pennies, he can do so much more than that than you've ever imagined. You just got to put your faith and give what you feel compelled to give and just see what God does with it.
It is not an easy task to let go of something that I think most of us hold really close. Even if we deem that we are in control of our money and our finances, in the end, it's none of ours. It's nothing belongs to us. And the church is doing more with what we're able to give them than we could ever do on our own. It's a very cool moment to be a part of something that's like moving the church forward. When we were there, when the doors of this new sanctuary opened, and now there's Carson City and there's going to be Sparks, and it just keeps growing, which is awesome.
And that means a lot for me because I've been going to the Reno campus for a while now. The Carson campus is a church that I used to go to as a kid and did Pinewood Derby in years and years ago. And now I'm very much so looking forward to the Sparks campus opening up and having a new church to be able to be a part of as well.
It's amazing to see that happen because of what we're able to give